The Marinade.
There's no O in Marinade. Let's try it one more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
The Marinade.
Marinade.
Bone marinade.
That's
The Marinade.
The Marinade. With Jason Earle.
I never dreamed that I'd meet somebody like you. I never dreamed that I'd love somebody like you. But I wanna fall in love.
There were nuggets of fucking brilliance in there.
There were nuggets. Bites?
Tiny little bites.
Not gulps, but bites.
Little bites. Welcome to the Marinade with Jason Earle, a free-flowing conversation about the creative process with creative people. This is episode 52, and our guest is Kris Osborne. Kris is a visual artist based in Orlando, Florida. She's also my best friend, my muse, my partner in life, and the most incredible human being I know. Kris is honest, intelligent, hardworking, hilarious, everything you would want in a friend and a partner. She's also a filmmaker, a painter, a woodworker, a singer, truly an artist in every sense of the word. Her latest collection of art is called Dressed in Marble, and it will be on display at the Hammered Lamb in Orlando, Florida, beginning on March 12th. Kris will be on hand that night to talk about her art, and all of the paintings, along with prints of some select pieces, will be on sale. I'll be there too. It'd be great to see some Marinaders out there supporting Kris's art. If you can't make it, or even if you can and you want to find all things Kris Osborne, go over to krisosborne.com, KrisOsborne. Also, check out our Etsy store, etsy.com/shop/reelartistic, REEL artistic, where you can buy gorgeous functional art like cheese boards, coasters, and light switch covers. Also, follow her work on social media, @reelartistic, again, REEL artistic, where you can get a double dose of the official puppy of the Marinade, Nonsense Osborne Earle, but also you can follow her creative process. Kris is really good about showing the stages of her paintings and her woodworking, and she's a really good follow over on Instagram and on Facebook, but especially on Instagram. The song you're hearing in this episode is our interpretation of Chris Isaak's Wicked Game, which is the result of a few glasses of wine and the two of us wanting to jam. Kris is my favorite singer. That's how we met originally. That's me on guitar that you hear in the recording, and Kris on ukulele and vocals. I'm always honored to get a chance to play with her. All right, y'all, I'm a dum-dum, so the first part of our conversation is cut off. Kris was answering a question about her mother's influence on her art when I finally got my shit together. So you're going to miss out on a couple of funny off-mic moments, but if you like what you hear, I bet I can convince her to sit down for another chat. And in the meantime, I'm going to shut up now. Go to krisosborne.com, follow her on social media @reelartistic. Everybody, this is such an honor. My conversation with my best friend in the world, Kris Osborne.
To have it in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say that she pushed me towards it or anything like that. She
mostly pushed me towards anything I was interested in. So that one I chose, I guess.
Okay. I hope I got that first part, because there was some good stuff, and I don't know what I'm doing with my recorder. So if I fucked that up, I'm so sorry.
It's your first day?
Because there was some gold. No, but I'm
It's
trying
episode
to get
1?
fancy as fuck with this podcast, and I thought you would be the perfect first fancy as fuck guest.
Oh, so I am the guinea pig.
Yeah. How's it feel?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. You also grew up in the church,
Yes.
and I'm curious about what your upbringing in the church, like what impact that had, either positive, negative, or neutral, on the creative process for you.
I don't know. I would say some of it is negative. I loved drawing naked women really quickly in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my first practice was like drawing my own porn when I was a very young child.
Mm-hmm.
So that had a lot of guilt associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
So the things that I would want to draw, I wouldn't. And especially not, I wouldn't like show anyone anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess women's faces is what I would gravitate towards. But maybe if I didn't have that guilt, I would have drawn or painted much more frequently.
Because I wonder if maybe the fact that you had to, I wonder if there was some kind of impact, just in the sense that you kind of had to keep it hidden.
Yeah.
But I guess what I mean is that may have added to, I wonder if that fueled it in any way, the fact that it was kind of taboo.
It was secret.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I would have been that kid that was just drawing constantly
Mm-hmm.
if I didn't have any sort of negative guilt in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
As if there's positive guilt.
Well, we could explore that too. God, we have had more than one conversation about guilt in our relationship.
So maybe I would have practiced more if I could have done it more openly. But that's kind of weird. Like, if I just like if I don't have a child, obviously you would know about it. But if my kid was like drawing penises all the time, I'd be like, stop drawing penises all the time. But maybe they are fascinated by this and they'd grow up painting penises.
Yeah, I have a feeling you would have a conversation about penises then. I don't think you would say stop doing it. I think you would say, all right, look, if you're going to draw penises, let's talk about penises.
Let's get the shading right.
Let's get the shading right. Let's make sure that, nope, none of them are that big. Nope, that's a cartoon.
Yeah.
And I think you also, so you would have the conversation about why are you drawing the penises? And I think it would lead to some healthy discussion.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So I think also the thing I was thinking when I asked the religion question was there were some outlets that now we kind of joke about or whatever, but I think there were some outlets within the church, the human video stuff, for example.
For sure. Yeah.
Can you explain what human video was? Because I doubt most people know.
I can't explain what human video is. Human video is like a pantomime to a song, normally a Christian song, if not a secular song that you can misconstrue the words to be about Jesus.
Like Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah.
Sure. Yep. It's been done. They got disqualified. But kids in the Christian church will compete with human videos. And I went pretty far and got 4th in nationals.
In the nation, everyone.
In the nation. Small group human video.
There were 4 contestants.
2002, maybe? There was 5 contestants.
Since I've known you, like a lot of things, you can't cheat and look at the questions.
I can't read.
It's upside down anyway.
Yeah.
Since I've known you a lot, I've seen a lot of evolution in your art and your creative outlets, because you are like a manic creative. You're
you.
constantly creating, and you're constantly creating beautiful work. And it feels like when we first met over 6 years ago, it seems like the focus at the time, you were in film school or you were working towards your film degree. And it seems like most of your creative time at that time was geared toward film.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that shift? Like, I mean, now you're painting, you're woodworking as well, but you're painting constantly and resining things, and it's a different medium, much more physical and less, well, film. Can you talk about, or digital, I guess is what I should have said. Can you talk about what that shift looked like and why it happened?
Yeah. First off, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's so nice of you. Yeah, I first started getting into film because I knew I wanted to do something artistic for the rest of my life, but I thought film would be able to pay the bills more than any other medium. So I really tried to pursue that, thinking I can just make art every day with film and support myself. So that would be perfect. And then as I went on, I started realizing, like, that's not really accurate.
Right.
The industry is a different industry than I guess I expected it, but I still had rose-colored glasses for it. And it just became more and more clear as time went on that the work is long for a minute playtime on Instagram that will get 30 likes. And that art is fun, but I found much more satisfaction and instant satisfaction with painting, woodworking, and resining without having to sit at a computer for hours.
I also wonder with that, because some of your experience, I was thinking about reflecting on this earlier, and I want to hear if you agree with this assessment, which is, it seems like, you had some time where you worked in the industry. Like, not just, I mean, now all of your stuff is DIY. You do all of the work. You have all the inspiration. You do all the heavy lifting and the promotion and everything. But there was a time when you first graduated from University of Central Florida where you were working in the industry itself. And it seems like that experience turned you off from film quite a bit.
Yeah, I would say it did. I think I was going down the road of being sick of the amount of work that such little gratification came from.
Oh, interesting.
And then in that job, it really kind of turned me off from it all. It's a high stress environment for things I didn't really understand. Like, why are you yelling at me about a ad that's going to be on Instagram for 2 days?
Right.
And it just, which is funny that the bar industry was a less stressor of a job.
Well, do you think a lot of that is the male power dynamics? The fact that at your bar, you're in charge. You're both in charge as the general manager and in charge as the bartender. It's your fucking bar. I mean, you don't own it, but you're controlling the environment. Whereas when you were working in film, it was a pretty male dominated kind of scene. Do you think that gender dynamic played any role?
Gender dynamic, yes, but not quite in that way, because the restaurant industry is, I mean, the whole world is fucking male dominated.
Right.
But the restaurant industry is extremely as male dominated as well. But I think I've always been able to have an understanding of how to deal with chauvinistic assholes and
that's why our relationship works.
Exactly. I know exactly how to deal with you. but I learned quickly how to deal with that in the restaurant industry of sarcasm and bitchiness, with a smile, and I get away with a lot. But in the film industry, it was different. Like, I couldn't get away with all those things, and I couldn't tell guys to fuck off like I can at a bar. So it really did feel like under the thumb all the time without being able to speak my mind.
I want to circle back a little bit to the difference between film and painting, because there's something you said that stuck with me, and that is that idea of like, because you have one of the strongest work ethics of anyone I've ever met.
Wow. Thank you.
And so, like, you're never scared of work. You're never shy. You never shy away from effort. But it was interesting what you said earlier, and I'm not sure I've ever heard you put it that way, that the work in film, you'd put in all this work, and then there'd be whole families here. You'd have minimal return on it, right? You do all this work and it'd be a fucking 30-second Instagram post or whatever. Versus, is there something to the gratification of, I've put in all this work and boom, I have this big, beautiful painting.
Yeah, and with paintings, there's a process of, before it's completely finished, I'm still liking how it's looking. With the initial sketch, I like it, or else I wouldn't move forward. Of course, there's always that time in the middle of a painting that you go, I fucking hate this. I should just burn this whole canvas and this house along with it. But
please don't do that. I
no,
don't
we
think
have
our
insurance.
is all that good.
That's fine.
Okay.
But that whole process of watching that happen is really fun. Like, I take pictures along the way so I can see where I've been and where I'm going. But with film, you can I would try to make you watch like 2 seconds of something that took me 5 hours to do. You're like, look how this looks. It's amazing. And you're like, yeah, that's really awesome. You know?
Wait, that's how bad I was at it?
Oh, you were terrible at it. Still are. No, so it's much more gratifying throughout the process of it, I would say.
What?
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And but can you walk people through that process? Because I get to see it every day, and it's really inspiring to me, and it makes me want to create. But when you're from like idea to finished product, can you kind of walk us through what your process looks like? You have your art show coming up at the Hammered Lamb here in Orlando on the 12th of March. There's a theme to it for sure, and your last show had a theme as well. So are those themes coming to you, and then you're writing that current? Do you see the greater vision before you start to sort of create this collection of paintings? What does your process look like from I got an idea to I have finished products?
I never have a plan,
Okay.
so I definitely didn't think this was going to be the end result. But nonsense.
Hey, leave it, baby. Mom's on a podcast.
First time caller. First time listener.
Yeah, right. I make her listen to every episode.
It's like Clockwork Orange with listening.
Yes, my relationship with nonsense is greatly influenced by Clockwork Orange. I hope I don't get arrested for that. That's a joke. Just in case anybody's not clear.
Strap her down and make her listen.
Don't want to. Anyway.
So what was your question?
We were talking about your process.
Oh yeah, okay. So I
You said
have
you didn't have a
no
greater
plan.
vision.
I have no greater vision.
Okay.
I really enjoy how things will just turn into itself, of riding that creative wave.
Okay.
I started. So the theme of this show it's called Dressed in Marble, because I have been creating like marbled skin tones, like as for the skin tones of the portraits of women that I've been doing. So it's going to be about 13 to 14 different paintings of canvas with acrylic. But just that I started doing this marble painting for my furniture, and then I just thought it looked really cool as like a skin tone, and I could mix 6 different skin tones plus a random color in there, and it still looked like it could be shadows and it could be this marbleized version of every race you could want to paint.
So beautiful. Where do your ideas come from for the particular paintings, and all of these are women?
Mm-hmm.
Where does that come from?
It comes from all over the place. Sometimes in magazines I'll see something and it will inspire me. Sometimes I'll really just want a certain pose. Like there are a couple that are just modeled from my own self, because I just thought I really want to paint this specific angle of a body or this specific pose, and you can't find that through Google Images sometimes.
Yeah, well, not everybody is as hot as you.
Oh yeah, it's definitely all about my rack. So some of the time it's just being inspired by the female form.
Right.
Other times Instagram or
cool.
magazines or... Yeah, it seems like I've gotten a lot of inspiration from hair magazines, like sitting at a barbershop, or I guess a salon is what they call mine.
Who needs labels for
Who needs
that kind of shit?
But looking through those magazines and like high fashion kind of magazines.
What is it? I don't know if it's even possible to describe this, but what is it about the female form that is so inspiring to you?
I don't know. It's just really beautiful. I really enjoy shadows, like trying to paint the shadows, because just muscle structures and the softness of skin. Well, that sounds like a serial killer.
The way it feels when you drape it over your shoulders.
Yeah. It's really nice. No, just like the weird shadows behind muscles and bones is just fascinating to me, and beautiful at the same time.
No, it doesn't sound at all like a serial killer.
I mean, we do have a crawl space.
There's a reason why I don't go down there. We met because you were singing in a band. Mm-hmm. And your relationship with music is interesting on a lot of levels. What, like, that outlet you've tapped back into recently, but you went a long time without it.
Yeah.
What did it take for you to get back into it?
Amanda Palmer has always been a huge inspiration for a lot of things, but I just love singing her shit. So, like, getting back into her a lot, like I was when I was in high school.
Right.
Kind of lit that spark up again, where I thought I want to sing again, because singing her songs are so much fun.
Yeah. And you crush it too.
Thank you.
That's one of the things that it's something about. I mean, and part of it's probably just that you've sang her music for so long that there's probably, you've gotten really, really good at it, and you have an incredible voice anyway. But like what she does obviously taps into something for you.
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
2004 me. No.
Well, let's go there.
No, I don't know, the anger, the excitement, the humor, the Broadway style, just like so many things that I have felt that have described me is in her music, and it's been a part of my life for so many chapters of my life that it's easy to sing a song and be transported back to 2007.
I find it interesting that you mentioned anger, because I think with you, I think everybody who knows you would say that you're like, you project an unflappable demeanor. You never get angry publicly, at least. I mean, I've seen you vent a little bit, but your getting angry is very different from my getting angry. Like
Right.
me right off the phone with my student loan servicer, or the one time that the people wouldn't treat you when you needed medical care, and those motherfuckers wouldn't treat you, and I thought I was gonna get arrested.
Yeah.
I don't get angry very often, but it looks way different than when it does with you. You're really even keel most of the time. So are you suppressing that anger? Am I gonna end up in the crawl space?
Oh no, that's just marijuana. No, I don't put a lot of stock in like horoscopes and stuff, but I am a Cancer, and the more
you are.
I'm such a
live
Cancer. It's like herpes. You can't get rid of me. But the more I look into it, the more I am I'm not an angry soul, but I express it in ways through music and art. And you can scroll through my sketch journal and see all my emotions that I've been having in a weird diary sort of way. So that probably...
Do you think there's anything to the idea that, and this is kind of personal, so if you want to cut it out, I can always edit it, but you are dyslexic, and language is not something that you process in the same way that you process colors and sounds and other things. Do you think maybe that's part of it? You're very eloquent, but still, that's not your preferred way of communicating.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. I keep saying I'm trying not to.
Please don't worry about that. And that's a whole separate conversation. But I love the fact that if someone says or like, I just leave it in, because that's an authentic representation of the conversation that we're having.
Well, I would like you to cut out
every single
time I say
Well, I'm doing my fancy new recording, if this is actually recording, and so that may be
even just the vowel U. If you could cut out
every
time I say the vowel.
You just want me to cut out you, and this is just me having a conversation with myself?
Oh yeah, if you could do that.
People are here for that. Do you think the way that you process, do you think you just projected that you don't want to talk about language? But did you think you just used humor as a deflection? I'll answer that. Yes, you did, because you do that. Do you think that, do you think the fact that language isn't your preferred mode of communication is why you don't express your anger verbally very often, that it comes out privately and in the form of art in some way?
Kinda, because I feel like if I were super into English language like you are, I would express
prefer Spanish, but I like English.
Yeah, English language is nice. I would probably express it similar to the way you do, of writing all the time. So I think I would still have the same sort of projection of anger. It would just be in a different form of art.
Do you see things in images?
Yeah, and like shapes and shit.
Yeah,
for sure. Like your first drawing class you ever take, they teach you to look at things as shapes. And once you start that, it's really hard to turn it off. And you don't want to turn it off sometimes. Like,
yeah, that's
fun.
probably a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking when we were playing last night, we had a couple drinks and we were playing some music together, and it was super fun. You were playing your ukulele and I was playing my guitar, and we were doing some covers. And I was thinking about the fact that like guitar I've done it long enough that the rudimentary stuff that I do for my songs and for the songs that I play, I can handle it. But we were talking about this the other day, how like I don't, and I talk about this on the show too, I guess a lot, but I don't necessarily naturally process music in that way of immediately understanding melody. Rhythm I do, but not melody, and not I just fuck up chord changes all the time when I'm trying to learn something or play something without looking directly at it. And that made me think about how I process things, because I process things very much in language. Right?
Yeah. So like, if I understand your question correctly, it's like, does my brain picture pictures rather than language?
Yeah. Like substitute it almost. If you're having a conversation with somebody, are you picturing the scenario rather than like hearing the words?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. My imagination is picturing it the whole time rather than I think that's why that's what I appreciate about you, is that when we
She appreciates me.
that was my Squirrely Dan impression.
Oh.
Did you like it?
I do now. Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't catch it.
Is the communicating for me can be difficult because I am picturing the things that I want to say, rather than saying the things that I want to say.
Right.
And you are able to get in my mind and understand what I'm trying to say. If that makes sense.
It does make sense.
It's difficult for me to communicate with a large amount of people because they don't see what I see, and I have a hard time explaining what I see.
Why do you think it, and I don't mean this to be me, I mean, we could think of a handful of friends off the top of my head of yours, or your mother, for example, who can connect in that way with you. Do you have any idea or any sense of why some of us
weird
click in that way? Yeah, is that because we're just fucked up?
Yeah. I don't know. I think imagination has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And humor. Like,
right.
If people don't understand my humor, they have a hard time with me.
Yeah. That is very true.
So yeah, imagination and humor probably have a large play in it. I just don't like people that aren't imaginative and aren't humorous.
They're often difficult to be around.
They suck.
I try to think of it differently, just because of what I do all the time. Just the work that I do in public service is like, I have to approach everybody as potentially being imaginative and having a good sense of humor. But you have the blissful position of not having to do that.
No.
Fuck those motherfuckers. Unimaginative assholes.
Yeah. Just walk away.
Do you ever find yourself, what I observe of you is that you get up and you got your morning routine, and you really ease into your day.
I do. I am not a morning person.
You're not a morning person. You don't get up till late, in large part because you stay up late because you're working late.
Right.
But your days are filled with creating, especially right now with your art show coming up. But still, your days are, as long as I've known you, you've been working on some project constantly. Mm-hmm. Do you ever find yourself creatively blocked?
Yeah, and that's when I moved to a different medium. There are so many days, like yesterday, that I don't want to paint. And so it's really nice to just go, okay, well then I'm going to make a cheese board or a frame or any number of things. Paint a fucking light switch cover. So I guess that would still be painting technically, but it's different.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's days where I don't want to do certain things and I just move on to the next thing. And that scratches my itch. I mean, I have to create every day
Mm-hmm.
or else I just am so depressed.
I'm glad you brought it up, because that's what I was gonna say. Is that the only time I've ever seen you not create, and it's very rare. It's just when you're really going through it,
Yeah.
depression wise.
Yeah. Because it's a double-edged sword where I don't want to create because I'm depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And then anything I do create, I feel like is the absolute worst.
Right. How do you get through that? Because we all feel that. Everybody who does anything creative, I think everybody who does anything creative, except maybe some sort of like narcissistic creative. Do those exist? I'm not sure.
For sure.
You think?
Oh,
like
yeah.
Megalomaniac kind of.
Oh, yeah. You
like
meet so
like
many
a Trumpian
artists.
creative.
You mean so, like, just scroll Instagram for some artists that think they're amazing and they're not. I'm happy for them. I'm glad they could be so happy with their shitty art. No.
Well, I was gonna go somewhere else, but now that's an interesting line of conversation. How do you balance that, right? So the idea that there are times when you create something where you feel as though maybe it's not very good because you're going through a depression, or maybe you're not on top of your game even, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you're not doing your best work. And the critic in you who looks at somebody else's and goes, this dodo over here.
Mm-hmm. I say dodo a lot.
How do you balance that? How do you balance that? Like, because it almost feels sort of hypocritical to some extent.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. To judge somebody else's art
Yeah.
and not want your own to be judged.
Right.
It's completely hypocritical.
But you don't feel that way also. Now I feel like I'm just answering for you, but you always are. You are seeking feedback.
Mm-hmm.
That's something you crave.
So much. I so badly crave feedback all the time. Like a fucking millennial.
All right.
No, to get past my own critic in my head, I don't know if I ever do actually get past it. I look at my own art all the time and know that I am just as bad as that Instagram artist that I make fun of.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of you. It's a lot of friends. There are certain friends that I send. I guess there's one friend. My friend Nick. I send pictures of process along the way, and he's very supportive.
Mm-hmm.
You're very supportive when you come home and you see progress.
Mm-hmm.
So that I just have to turn off my own hypocritical, judgmental brain of myself and really only listen to the positive people.
And that is the hardest thing, right?
Oh, it's extremely hard.
It's so hard. It's like you get all this positive reinforcement, and then the one time that your own brain goes, "This is shit," then you can't forget that one moment that you said it was shit, which is stupid.
Yeah. I mean, there's parts of every painting, or there's a step of every painting where I go, "This is shit," and still, when it's finished, sometimes I will see it as the shitty part and can't look past the fact that it's finished and it looks better than it did before.
That's so crazy what our brains do there. It's so crazy, because also that is the beauty of the whole thing, is the process. That's the whole that is your therapy.
Oh, entirely. Like, you look into any of the faces of the women I just painted for this show, and you can see what I was going through in that time it took me to paint that. I mean, it's the most sympathetic mirror that you could ask for.
What are you most proud of creatively?
Nonsense. No, most proud of creatively. I don't know. That's a tough question. Like, what medium, or like what piece?
I intentionally
in
left it open.
particular?
Yeah, I intentionally left it open, but it could be a particular piece that you feel like you really nailed whatever you were trying to do, or like it came in a moment that was especially impactful, or it could be that you're most proud of a a particular style or I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There are a few that I'm more proud of than others, so I guess I could answer it in that way. I painted our pocket door with
Oh
like
yeah,
a femme fatale
yeah, it's badass.
spy girl.
It leaves such an impression on people too.
Yeah, it scares the shit out of people. It's great.
It's badass.
Looks like there's a intruder in the house when you come home late at night. I'm proud of that one. There's a few pieces that will be in my show that I'm pretty proud of. I wish I could name them so I could tell you like this one and marbled skin tone number 3, but I don't have names for them yet.
Well, thankfully I put that out on Twitter, and Mark came through with like some awesome suggestions.
Oh hell yeah!
And I put them on Post-it notes, and I stuck them next to the paintings.
Oh hell
And
yeah!
then they fell, and then I put them back up, and they fell. And so Nonsense probably ran off with them, but thankfully we have the internet. So
Oh good. I appreciate that, Mark.
plus Mark has an amazing memory, so he would probably
Wow.
come through. But yeah, he was inspired by the purple tones in the overall, and so he used like alliteration to name all of them, and I thought they were really cool names.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I look forward to hearing those. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I do use purple a lot. Lots of purples, lots of reds. I'm very passionate about the darker tones of colors. So yeah, I'm proud of some of them more than others.
Well, there's so yeah. Again, I wish we did have them all named, because there are some in this show that I like them all, but there's some that are just really standout pieces, like the not just because there are boobies in it, but the one with the boobies.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you the names that I put down on my to-do list because I'm a huge to-do list person. So let's see, we got boobies, French, collarbones, striped skirt, resin, Germans, what am I? Oh, thumb. What am I missing?
I don't know why you're asking for help naming these. Those are obviously the names of these paintings.
Yeah,
Germans for sure.
Germans for sure.
100%. Thumb, no question.
Thumbed it.
Thumb's gonna stick.
Thumbs up the thumbed.
Yeah, tack that one up.
Yeah, so Germans isn't done yet, but when it's done, I think it's gonna be really fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm proud of boobies. I'm proud of Germans
You should
so
be
far.
Proud of boobies.
Yeah. I'm also proud of French. French is a good one.
Yeah, French is a good one, and a perfect name. What you art wise, obviously you create in all these different ways. You're a singer and ukulele player of ukulele. Used to play a lot of guitar in your band, the Killer Penguins.
Yeah.
You make films, not as much anymore, but you have all these different creative outlets. What is the art that is inspiring you at the moment?
Woodworking. Yeah. Since we bought the house and I have the garage, woodworking has just been so much fun for me. I've always wanted to get better at sculpting and pottery, so that will probably be some sort of avenue in the future. Just a heads up, look out for that.
All right.
But
I didn't need my studio space anyway.
Yeah.
I know where this story's going.
Yeah, I'm taking over. But woodworking is fun because you
This is
can.
the last episode of the Marinade, everybody.
This is it. And then now in the background, you're gonna hear a wheel constantly just rolling. No, but woodworking is a way to sculpt something without the clay. It's a different sort of sculpting. And so far I've found it more practical. I can use everything that I make. Paintings are beautiful. They hang on the wall. Woodworking and resin work, I can use all this stuff. And if somebody doesn't want to buy it, that's fine. I'll use it.
Yeah. That's a great point. And we have pieces all over the place where these coasters that we're using, which I can't believe haven't sold, but because they're just so dope. And KrisOsborne.com, everybody, if you want to buy them. But seriously, the tables, like our, I mean, you kind of quit trying to sell those, but still.
Yeah, they're too useful.
Yeah, they're so wonderful. Our nightstands were made by you, and they're wonderful. What about, so that makes a lot of sense, that's what would be most inspiring, because that circles back to the point you were making about how with visual art, you see the result right away, you know? Mm-hmm. What about other things, films you've seen recently that really fire you up, TV, music you've been listening to?
Yeah. What am I getting down on? Is that what you're asking
That's
me?
what I'm asking.
Like,
Don't act like you
never
listen to the show.
Before? I told you I've listened to 2 episodes.
I know. I'm glad that Emily Wolf's really interesting and Hannah Harper's really interesting.
Just women flipping off cameras. Gets us both.
Yeah, that's for sure.
No, The Outsiders on HBO I'm watching.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun, spooky fun.
Mm-hmm.
2 funs.
Wait, no.
What?
The Outsider.
Yeah.
Outsiders is
it's the
teen 80s novel
in the 1900s.
of the 1900s.
Yes.
That's
in the 1900s, they had The Outsiders.
The Outsiders is from way back in the 1900s.
But here in the year 2000,
in the year 2000,
we have
It's
Outsider.
called The Outsider. I'm Googling it right now to make sure.
The Outsider on HBO. I've been watching that.
Dope. Stephen King.
It's pretty fun. Other than that, I'm really, speaking of HBO, I've always really been into that show High Maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
And they just came out with their next season. And it's funny because they had, what's that guy's name? I'm terrible with names, as you know, too well. He does
I have to remind you at least twice a week what mine is.
Well, it's because you fucking changing it. No, what's the guy's name that does This American Life?
Ira Glass,
yeah. So he was on one of the episodes of High Maintenance.
Oh, wow.
And I loved it because that really is what High Maintenance is it's a This American Life of weed smokers.
Oh, interesting.
So I saw that comparison and I thought maybe that's why I love this show so much.
Yeah.
It's weed smokers.
Yeah, you do listen to a shitload of This American Life.
I do.
And you listen to a lot of podcasts. What are the other ones that you've been fired up about?
Comedy Bang Bang is always
so good.
Up there. I've been diving deep. Hidden Brain, I love. Fascinating little stories. And then Radiolab is probably. And then if I'm trying to go to sleep with me podcast. That shit works. Sleep with Me podcast guy. If you want to support the Marinade with Jason Earle, I'm all for it.
We should, Sleep With Me podcast guy. We should contribute to each other's Patreons and just cancel each other out.
Yeah, I was gonna say I shouldn't promote a different person's Patreon, but Sleep With Me podcast is great if you need to sleep.
Right. I'll contribute to you. You contribite to me. You rub my feet, I'll rub yours.
It's kind of like when you tip me at my bar. It's like you don't need to tip me.
I quit doing that a while ago.
It will just become one thing.
My love, this has been such a pleasure. I am so excited for your art show, March 12th at the Hammered Lamb. I am every day completely blown away by your grace and your intelligence, the work ethic that you display both in your day job and in your relationship with me and your friends and your family. and then what you put into your art. This is one of the true honors for me, and I'm so thankful.
Thank you. This has been a lot of fun.
Good. I'm glad. Now let's go eat.
I was nervous, and I hope you can hear it
You sounded so dumb the whole time.
the whole time.
Yeah.
Been told to raise my eyebrows when I'm talking, and it sounds more feminine.
First of all, I want to clarify, I did not say that for anybody listening.
Oh, no. It was not you. It's been my whole life.
What the fuck is that?
It's a thing.
Oh my God. I've heard smiling. I always smile when I do intros and stuff. Or if
Yeah,
I'm on the
that's
phone.
good. But
Yeah.
raising the eyebrows
But I'm genuinely happy when I'm doing it.
makes it a little more sharp and a little less flat.
And scene. Kris Osborne, y'all. Thank you so much, Kris. I love you. You're incredible. You are the most incredible person I know, and I'm so proud of you. I cannot wait for your art show, March 12th, for everybody listening. If you can make it, that would be amazing to see everybody out there at the Hammered Lamb here in Orlando. If you can't make it, remember krisosborne.com. You can find all things Kris. You can order stuff that she's created. You can also just go straight to her Etsy store to find her functional art. That's etsy.com/shop/reelartistic, REEL artistic. And then follow her on social media. She's a great follow on Instagram. She does a great job of balancing adorable pictures of our dog with pictures of her creative process. So follow her over there. Y'all, thank you so much for listening. This was a blast. This was so much fun to record and to edit and to write for. I'm just really honored that I have such an incredible person in my life and that I'm able to sit down with her and talk about her process. And, you know, it's fun because we talk about this kind of thing a lot, but it's a lot different when you're interviewing somebody, you know? So that was a really cool challenge for me. And it was a really cool challenge for me to put this whole thing together, being that I'm so close to her and I'm so impressed with her and I love her so much. So really a cool learning experience and an exciting time for me. All right, y'all, it's time for what I'm getting down on, the segment of the show where I talk about the art that is inspiring me at the moment. There's a lot of music that I've been listening to recently that has me fired up. Eden Archer's record, Journey Proud, I highly recommend. Eden's going to be playing Gasparilla Music Festival this coming Saturday, March 7th. And if you're anywhere near, if you're listening to this and anywhere near Tampa, you probably already attend GMF. If you're not, and honestly, even if you're not from Tampa or from Florida or don't live here, it's worth a destination trip. Brandy Carlisle is the headliner this year. It's always an incredible festival. And, there's always somebody that I've never heard of that plays a noon set that just blows everybody away. I saw Margot Price back when she was Margot and the Price Tags was what they called themselves at noon, not that long ago, 2015, I think, because she just had like a meteoric rise because she's so damn good. Kelsey Walden, our good friend Kelsey Walden, who's been on the show, also a noon set, very similar kind of experience. And y'all know Kelsey now. Eden Archer may very well be that next person. She's got a few records out. This most recent one, Journey Proud, came out last year, and it's just outstanding. Also, Curtis Harding. I don't know how this guy has escaped me. Soul singer, just really fantastic. I'm going to try to catch up with him at Gasparilla as well. I've been listening to his music and devouring it. And then Jay Jackson. Jay Jackson and I recorded an episode of the Marinade just a few days ago. I'm so excited for that episode to come out, and her records are great, y'all. So if you haven't checked her out, check her out. And shout out to Patty Patron for the heads up on Jade. I wasn't even really familiar with her, and then I ran into Patty and her husband at the Shovels and Rope show, and they mentioned that Jade was opening for Lucero. So I just did a real deep dive into her music, and it's great, and then she's so fascinating. I can't wait for y'all to hear that conversation. Also, I got to sit down with Ben Nichols of Lucero. Been a huge Lucero fan for so many years, and so as a result of that process, of course, I was doing research, and when their most recent record, Among the Ghosts, came out, I loved it. I really did, but it wasn't. Usually I get obsessed with their records, and for whatever reason, I wasn't obsessed with that record. And I think as I look back on it, it just came out at a time when a bunch of other stuff was coming out, and it kind of got buried in my mind. So, I listened to it, but I didn't obsessively listen to it. Well, this whole process has allowed me to obsessively listen to it, and I got to ask him some really interesting questions, I think, about the process, and he opened up so much. Like, he talked about the title track, for example, and where the idea came from, and then that led to this whole tangent about ghosts, and just it's a great conversation, and as you would expect, that Ben Nichols would be a fascinating conversation. But I can't wait for that one to come out either. So much great stuff, y'all. Eden Archer, Curtis Harding, Jay Jackson, and Lucero. Those are the four that I've just been spinning pretty constantly right now. Y'all, thank you so much again. Until next time, go out and create something. Cheers, y'all.